Housing supply needs to increase in order to enhance affordability on the market. That's according to the latest report from the Banking and Payments Federation Ireland. Ali Ugur, a chief economist at Banking and Payments Federation Ireland, joins us now. Ali, just talk us through the key findings from the report. I suppose it's stating the kind of obvious that we need more supply, isn't it?
Exactly, Shane. Our starting point was that the most recent CSO data shows that we are nearly at peak levels in terms of the average price home prices, peak levels that were observed in April 2007. But we're trying to put a different angle because people might think that, okay, are we again going back to the crisis period? But our research shows that it's mainly driven by lack of supply as opposed to the sort of the lending growth that we observed back in 2007.
Okay, and I definitely don't want to get bogged down in this, but are prices actually back at 2007 levels? I mean, anecdotally, it would seem maybe that's not the case, or is it only in certain areas?
No, the CSO compiles an index, and according to their calculations, we're at the same level as in April 2007, actually, on average.
Okay, on
Obviously.
average. Okay, all right. So back then, obviously, it was a credit-led boom in house prices. Do you think now all of our problems pretty much can be traced back to a lack of supply?
Majority of it, yes. In terms of the credit lending, as you know, we have the macroprudential rules. People can only borrow certain amounts, and they are defined in terms of loan to income and loan to value. And it's interesting what we found that from the central bank data is that there are actually exemptions that the borrowers can use, which means that they can go over these limits under certain circumstances. But the percentage of people using those exemptions have actually declined between 2016 to 21, from 21% to 14%. So there are less number of borrowers now using these exemptions, actually.
Interesting. What about, where are we at in terms of supply at the moment? I mean, obviously COVID was a huge setback in terms of supply. Is there any sense that we're getting there, or are starting to get there in terms of the number of houses we need to build every year?
Yes, Shane, definitely. I agree with you. The COVID was a huge negative effect on the supply. But the latest data shows that before COVID, our latest research showed that late 2019, early 2020, that we would have been around 30,000 units by now. But obviously, with COVID, with the lockdowns, the sector couldn't continue to operate. But the latest data show that we are at about 25,000 units on an annual basis. So we expect that trend to continue, hopefully for this year, around 25,000 units. And when we look at the sort of the commencements data, it is showing at around 28 to 29,000 units, which is a good indicator for example, for next year.
Is that enough, Ali?
It is. I mean, when I say is that enough, it's normally what is estimated to be needed is around 30 to 35,000 units. But I think we should not also forget that we had a lot of pent-up demand in the last 5 years that has not been met. So that is a factor as well. But obviously, we need to go over 30,000 units, definitely.
Okay. The final question, and maybe it's not something that's in your report, and maybe it's an impossible question to answer. Like, there are people, I increasingly have conversations with people my age who are saying, our kids will never be able to afford a house. Um, are you confident that, and we are talking medium term, not short term, but medium to long term, that this issue can be addressed, that there will be enough houses built, and that prices will not only start to stabilise, but maybe start to come down and become more affordable?
I think in the medium term, I mean, as you know, housing goes in cycles, and in terms of the cycles, the price is a reflection of that. And I think in the medium term, there are definitely plans at the government level to be able to sort out the challenge or the problem or the housing crisis. So I think if a planned and coordinated way acted, I think we can solve the challenge in the medium term, definitely.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Ali Ugur, Chief Economist at Banking and Payments Federation Ireland. Thank you for talking to Newstalk Breakfast.